Hello and welcome to Tobacco Road and Broad. I'm Aiden, followed by my host, Gareth. And today is a pretty sad day in the sports world. We lost a legend today, Lou Holtz, one of the greatest college football coaches of all time, in my opinion. And even though I was never alive during his time at Notre Dame, I really just kind of remember him as ESPN commentator and analyst. His impact on the sport of college football knows no bounds, and he was probably one of the greatest uh, leaders of men and just inspirational figures in sports. He started off as a 5 foot nothing, 120-pound linebacker coming out of Kent State, and he was able to build one of the most successful coaching careers. And along the way, gave some really inspirational and very memorable speeches across the nation. I remember growing up just reading about him and all different uh, his quotes around like leadership, and a lot of those quotes and little nuggets of wisdom I still kind of carry with me today. And he was an amazing leader. And if you have time, take time and read a little bit about Lou Holtz. He's he was really funny, but also a type of leader that we don't really see a lot anymore. And I feel like the world could always use a leader like Lou Holtz. And I think that's one of the ways he would want to be remembered. But first and foremost, he would want to be remembered about the way he honored God and the way he built his family. God and family were some really important values in his life, and he was able to uh, become very successful without compromising any of his morals, which is very rare to see these days. But had spent time at NC State, coached them for about 3 or 4 years, had a very successful run there, brought them to four bowl games, then moved on to, I believe, after first he was at William Mary, then he went to State, then after that went to Arkansas.
He went to the New York
Uh,
Jets too, in between Arkansas and NC State.
yeah, in between that, he went to the New York Jets. Was not as successful in the NFL, but listening to interview that he did, and he through all his uh, moments where there was failure, he always came away with good lessons, and he was one person that could really learn and grow from those moments of uh, adversity. He had this famous quote, "You're either growing or you're dying," and that's a kind of a really important quote and just kind of exemplifying what type of man he was. He was always trying to find new ways to learn and new ways to grow as a person. After Arkansas, spent some time in Minnesota, then went on his legendary coaching run at the University of Notre Dame. And after that, he retired for a little bit, but then found that he wanted to come back to coaching. He coached in South Carolina before going to ESPN and being an analyst on there. His career was very successful. He is a North and South Carolina legend by my books, and he will be greatly missed in the college football world and the world at large. So I got my Notre Dame stuff on today in honor of him. Absolutely amazing coach, and just rest in peace to the GOAT.
Yeah, it's I don't know quite as much about him as Aiden does. Like I know my dad knows a little. Like he heard about him growing up, but it's sad. He was the real life. You see all these YouTubers do these dynasties where they like hop around. They like go and fix all these teams, and he was basically the real life that what brought William and Mary to legitimacy. He's the second winningest coach in NC State history behind Bill Fetzer. I believe he has the only. It wasn't called the BCS back then, but I believe he has the only NC State BCS bowl win was under him in what I believe. I don't know what the bowl is called now, they called it the Peach Bowl, but the Peach Bowl's been changed around, 50 different times, like of what's actually the Peach Bowl. But it was the Peach Bowl then.
I think it's the Chick-fil-A Bowl now.
It's the Chick-fil-A Bowl now or something, but he won the Peach Bowl. But yeah, I know his career didn't pan out in the NFL, but there's a lot of legends where I think there's just so much of a difference in the NFL and college where I feel like it's hard for the other to succeed at the other.
Like hard for NFL legends to succeed at college too.
Yeah, I just think it's almost like two different sports. Like but legendary coach, he's one of my favorite state coaches looking back on it just to watch stuff. The only time NC State's run the triple option was under Lou Holtz. So, hey, but legend. Sad to see he died. That was work was already kind of kicking me in the face today, and then I checked my phone and saw that. I'm like, damn, today's just gonna suck. So, but yeah, but after that, should we just go ahead and jump into college basketball?
Yeah, let's jump into college basketball. We have a big weekend ahead of us, and ACC tournament is about the picture for the ACC tournament is about to be kind of set in stone right now. UNC just got a major win against Clemson and has been kind of on a roll as of late. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. I know State has been kind of faltering a little bit. So Gareth, any thoughts on the? Well, it's been a little while since we've actually recorded. So we've a lot has happened since we last recorded. So in short, NC State beat UNC. Gareth and I watched that, and
Aiden didn't shoot me.
The stipulation was if State comes back down like major, and then in the second half they hit like 10 threes in a row, and like they're just absolutely on fire, I'd be a little bit peeved. But they were on fire throughout the entirety of the game, so I was just more sad throughout the entire thing. I was just like, damn, he really beating our ass.
I will say the thing I'll remember most about that game was the Darian Williams performance. He didn't score a lot of points, but him busting his face open, getting 8 stitches, then basically having to shave part of his eyebrow off, and then him coming I remember it was Carolina was starting to make a little bit of a run, and they'd cut it to single digits. They cut it like 6 points, and you just see Will. It's like the camera's on the two huddles, and you just see Will Wade just fucking tearing into the State team, and then you hear the stadium start cheering. I'm like, what happened? Are they tossing? Normally going to Providence, if it's during a timeout and you hear the State student section start cheering, someone's usually getting fucking tossed. So someone's getting tossed. So I'm sitting there with Aiden. I'm like, I'm about asking, who do you think is getting tossed right now? And the camera pans to a Darian Williams coming out in a jersey that doesn't have a name on it, is missing all sorts of patches. It literally just says 34 in NC State. And he's just walking. I'm like, oh, this man's about to go off. He didn't, but it was still cool to watch. It was still to watch and have him come play his heart out. It was still really cool to watch, but
Yeah.
After that,
it sucked.
It's all good. I mean,
I'm sour grapes.
Yeah. Since then, NC State's kind of been on a little bit of a rough patch. It was just, I was kind of expecting a little bit of a rough patch. After we have a night shooting like we did against Carolina, we usually have kind of a down few games. We were getting all right looks against Duke. It's just literally after about, one half, nothing was going in. And it was just kind of like, nah. Yeah, I just think if we can get the shooting back, we'll be fine. My main question about the Duke game is, and this is an observation I've had about the Jon Scheyer offense/defense over the last couple years. Jon Scheyer does not know how to deal with 2 bigs. So I don't know why more people haven't gone to that. Fucking Kevin Keats figured that out. Hubert Davis has figured that out, that Duke really struggles with 2 bigs against 2 bigs. And I know Carolina doesn't really have 2 big go-to bigs, but Carolina has some bigger guards that can kind of, act as kind of like those big. They have bigger wings that can kind of
I think statistically speaking, UNC is the tallest team in the ACC right now, so they kind of have a little bit more of an advantage like they might not have two bigs, but they have a lot of big guys that
Yeah.
can play that role.
Yeah, and similarly, NC State has similar to Carolina, has very tall guards who are very built. I mean, Quadir Copeland, 6'9". Darian Williams is like 6'6". And Duke is not a particularly tall team. Like they have a bunch of guys. They have a bunch of guys who are 6'5". And the strategy that Will Wade went with, like, and I get it was, we were the best 3-point shooting team in the ACC, and he kind of wanted to lean on that. You know what? Fair. Stick to your guns in a big game.
Mm-hmm.
But part of me is like, if Duke has this weakness, Duke really struggles to deal with two bigs. We have Darian Williams, who essentially is a power forward that can shoot threes. Duke doesn't handle the ball. He literally is just, power forward that can shoot threes. We have Van Allen Lubin. Run it as a two-big system. But that's not necessarily what and I know that's not Will Wade's bread and butter. Will Wade's bread and butter is kind of, a 4-out motion style offense with a bunch of screening, which fair, fine. But I feel like we could have used our guys a little bit better. Quadir Copeland is essentially, with his size, is a forward that can handle the ball. Why didn't we take advantage of that size discrepancy inside against Duke was my main thing. But I like our chances versus Stanford this weekend. I feel like if we can just get the shooting under control, I think we'll be fine. I honestly think us only having a single bye as opposed to a double bye, I know we can still get the double bye, but I think this team has shown that they really struggle after a week off. Like, as this team really, and this is going to sound counterintuitive, this team really gets in its groove when it hasn't had its, like, how in college basketball you have a bye every once in a while, like ACC you play like every 3 days.
Yeah.
The couple times we've had a week in between games, this team has really struggled. This team thrives off of having played a lot of recent basketball. That's when this team thrives. When we go, when we have those short turnarounds, when we have, just game after game after game, this team gets into a groove. This team is very momentum and momentum based. If you get them going, like during our first slip in conference play, we just kept playing games and games and games. And then it was just, the ship just kind of righted itself. It was more of like, trust the process. That has been my thing. I think once we, play the Stanford game, and then we go right into the ACC tournament next week, right?
Yes.
Good. Which away game, also away game. Away game.
Gareth is getting pretty excited. Like, I thought Gareth would be a little bit disappointed. Oh, we don't get the 2 buys. But Gareth's almost
I don't even want to buy. Aiden, how I've seen this team play with how I've seen this team play when they've had time off. Like, okay, the defense is better. People are healthy. The hustle's there. They look quicker. It's just the sharpness is gone. Like, NC State played incredibly fast. Things looked smooth, but they weren't sharp. The team looked discombobulated. They were fast, but discombobulated. It was the shooting disappears too. No. I want as minimal break possible.
Gareth wants to play Boston College during game 1.
Yeah, and ideally, yes. Ideally. Okay, maybe not the play-in, but like, the first round where everyone plays. Not the buys, because the ACC tournament's big enough where you have the play-in, you have the regular round, then you have first bye, second bye.
Yeah.
We're currently on the first bye line. Ideally, could we start maybe Tuesday instead of Wednesday? But honestly, Saturday to Wednesday is a normal gap of time. I'm okay with that.
Yes.
But God forbid, if we were playing Thursday, I would have been like, well, shit, we're fucking losing. I don't care who we're playing. I don't care if fucking Boston College goes on a run. I wouldn't be, And there's a lot of NC State fans freaking out right now saying, like, oh, we don't deserve to make the tournament. Honestly, have you seen the state of the bubble right now? Have you seen the state of the bubble right now?
Gareth, talk about Auburn.
Yes. Bruce Pearl, and in proper, SEC fashion, has now been backtracking. He's doubling down, but also backtracking at the same time. Are you saying I should? All right, so we'll preface his comments. He's saying a 29-0 conference champion Miami. He's not even talking about in the event Miami loses. So typical SEC. We're already talking about hypotheticals right now. We're already talking about hypotheticals right now. Miami, Ohio hasn't lost yet.
Yeah.
And he's saying he believes they should be left out for Auburn. And everyone's just calling him out, such and such. And he finally came out today and did basically like a non-response. He's like, what, so I shouldn't want my son to make the tournament? No, you just moved the goalpost there. But Bruce Pearl, do you really want to talk about your mid-majors? Because there's a coach that I can talk about right now who Bruce Pearl knows really well that struggles with mid-majors. And I'll borrow a Star Wars quote. Well, of course, he's me. He is Bruce Pearl. Bruce Pearl's first year at Auburn, they lose to Harvard by 19. My cousin, and no shade to my cousin, he was a rotation player. He's not like some Ivy League star, but he was a rotation player,
I don't know. I remember one night he just absolutely went off on it was like at a game in Madison Square Garden. And I was like, yo, that's crazy.
There was the Auburn game. He dropped a triple-double against Auburn.
That's crazy.
I'm sorry. And this is no shade to my cousin Evan. I love him. He played well. He absolutely, previous March Madness, he absolutely threw the hammer down on some poor Michigan State guy who ended up getting drafted in the NBA. The point guard threw a lob up to him, and bro just absolutely just on his head.
Is that what they do?
I looked up the player. The guy's no longer in the league, but he was drafted second round by the Knicks or something, the guy that he dunked on. But I just remember Tom Izzo called a timeout after that and looked pissed. And all my mom's side of the family is all Ohio State fans. They're going, this cousin's already on that side of the family, so he's already an Ohio State fan. So my mom's side of the family is just going nuts during this game. I was going nuts, but back to the Auburn game. But yeah, there was a night in middle school. I started texting Aiden. And they got the game on, and my cousin had 15 at half. My cousin had 15 points at the half. And I just remember I posted on my Instagram. I was all I was losing my shit. I tagged him and stuff like that. I remember I had homework that night or something, and my parents let me do homework after the game. But I was just remember I was so amped up that I had trouble doing homework after it because I was I forget what my cousin ended up dropping that day, but it was insane. But back to my point, Bruce Pearl. If a mid-major school 19 pieces your ass in the Christmas specialty tournaments, maybe we don't want to be talking about mid-majors. And not to take anything away from my cousin, but if my cousin drops a fucking Harvard, I'm majoring in financing. Hooping, bro.
I'm going to get drafted next year by Goldman Sachs. I'm going to build my sack on you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. If my Wall Street analyst cousin dropped the fucking triple-double on your Power 5 team, you probably aren't a pretty good coach. I'm sorry. When it comes to college basketball, the levels of fraud that I could get into when talking about Bruce.
Not that you're not a good coach, but you have no room to talk about it. He's a good coach. Okay, all right, let's get that straight. He's a good coach, but you shouldn't be talking like this.
You can't get it done in the big time either. You couldn't win an SEC. You couldn't win the national title. You couldn't make a Final Four, so you had to try your hand at politics. And that doesn't look to be going too well either. All we need is some Harvard Ivy League educated dude to beat him out for the Republican seat for Alabama, and the circle of life will be complete.
That would be very funny.
He just needs some conservative, Harvard econ major to beat him out for the Alabama State Senate and the circle of life, Yale, as they say. Harvard or Yale.
Yale gave them issues.
And Yale gave them issues too. I forgot about that.
That's what I remember more. Those Yale games.
Yeah, I think didn't they lose to Yale in one of those?
Yes, they did.
Oh, so Bruce Pearl struggles with education. Clearly, Bruce
Hmm.
Pearl, you struggle with mid majors. Why are you talking? Why are you talking? And I get he's like recanted a little bit, but like doubled down at the same time. Like, no, we're not saying you shouldn't want your son to make the tournament. That's not what we're saying whatsoever. We're
That's
just
not
saying
what
it.
you said. That's not what
Yeah.
you said. You said this should happen, not I want my son to get in the tournament. You said no, this should happen.
Like,
By resumes, this should happen. You
okay, I get
repeated
you
it
have
exactly.
5 quad 1 wins. That's more than most teams. But your record matters overall. How I see this March Madness thing is, you have your overall record. Then, you have your quad. You have like your quality of wins, your quad wins.
Hmm.
Like that's like second.
Hmm.
Like, I'm sorry, there have been terrible teams that have amazing quad 1 records, but because they're 13-20 with 6 quad 1 wins, I'm sorry, that shouldn't make the tournament. This isn't the NBA. You shouldn't make the playoffs with a losing record unless you like won your conference or something. Now, if Auburn wins the SEC, we're having different talks. Well, I'll say, yeah, put
They
them in.
won't. They won't.
They won't, but yeah.
Like we'll throw them that bone if it happens.
Yeah.
The fact that Auburn even is in a bubble team right now is an insult to my senses. Because Gareth, I see Auburn play. I hear Auburn play. I touch the remote when I see Auburn play because I want to see something else because it's an offense to my senses, Gareth.
Indubitably, Aiden. Indubitably.
Indubitably. Gareth and I, while I was up in Massachusetts, we ran a couple tournament not hypotheticals, but like we did our own little rankings. It's irrelevant now, I mean, but when we were putting down, okay, who we think is going to win the tournament, conference tournament, who are the auto bids. All right, let's see who's like at large going through the net and stuff like that. We get to Auburn and we're like, why the hell is Auburn in like the top 40 right now? Get their ass out of here. They were the first one to go.
Yeah. Like, and they were pretty high in the net. They were like in the 30s at that point. They were 34th in the net. That would have been the highest team left out.
And guess what? They're falling even more. So we're not going to have that problem, are we, Gareth?
Yeah. No, we're not. I'm just worried if they go on a run in the SEC tournament and don't win it, if they still get in.
They're going to go on a run in the SEC tournament, lose it, and then they're going to complain, why aren't we in? What happened? What happened? You did this yourself. We hate you.
Yeah.
I don't hate Auburn, but like I don't even hate Auburn basketball. I just hate the position that Joe Lunardi is putting us in right now, Gareth.
Now, I do agree
Never
with
fall
something
for the Joe Lunardi propaganda.
I will never, but I think he's sort of coming to his senses now because he says his whole thing was like, I at least agree. He said if everyone on the bubble loses, nothing changes. Because there is a day where all of the bubble teams lost, and he goes, I don't see anything changing. I'm like, you know what? That's the first thing you've said that's made sense in a while.
I don't agree with how he seeds some of the ACC teams.
Okay, one thing I'm disagreeing with right now, if you look at the net rankings, sorry, we're just spitballing right now. NC State's 30th in the net rankings. For whatever reason, I guess the experts thought we were going to get blown out by Duke because guess what? We didn't move after we lost to Duke.
Yeah.
So, fair. But Villanova, and, this could be, being a Providence student, absolutely, I can't fucking stand Villanova. Villanova is a whole 8 spots behind NC State in the net. NC State is currently slotted as a 10 seed playing a 7 seed Villanova. Tell me where that makes sense. NC State is a 10 seed, fine, whatever. That makes sense. That makes sense to me. But Villanova as a 7.
I saw them as a 9 seed.
It depends on who you talk to.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
regardless, Villanova is still above them in a lot of projections.
Yeah.
Who has Villanova beaten this year? They haven't beaten any ranked teams. NC State's beaten 3. NC State has more quad one wins than Villanova, less quad one losses than Villanova. Yes, they're third in the Big East. NC State's 6th in the ACC. I get there's a discrepancy there. And I'm a Big East homer. This is a weaker Big East. A 12 and 17 Providence is in the running for a bye. Okay, that's a sign that your conference isn't having a strong year.
Yeah.
But typically, with how they do the math for this, there's four seeds for every one seed level, for every seed level.
Yeah.
NC State at 30, that should be about a 7, 8, or 9 seed. Because if you divide that by 4, that should be, if they're a little bit weaker, make them a 9. If they're a little bit higher, stronger, make them a 7. But that's about an 8 to 9 seed.
Yeah, yeah.
Where do you get 10 seed? 10 seeds like the 40s. 10 seeds 40th.
Mm-hmm.
Make Villanova the 10. Like Indiana at a 10 seed. That makes sense. They're 40th in the net. Santa Clara, 10 to 11 seed. That makes sense. They're 41st in the net. That makes sense. What does not make sense is Villanova being 8 spots behind NC State and being seated 3 whole lines above them. That
does not make sense.
That's called bias. Now, if you were, talking about, maybe like a BYU, actually, I don't know. I'm not very high on BYU right now, but, we'll not get into that.
I don't know. That end of the UCF game was like they had some fight in them. They kind of stink, but they got some fight in them.
Haven't like 8 of their last 10 losses come in like the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, that was a little crazy. Not gonna lie.
They're all getting game slide. And somehow still in the top 20. It's like, what? Okay, 8's a little bit of an exaggeration, but they've lost 5 straight. And they're still ranked.
Yeah, that's not good.
It's now that's Mormon bias. But no, we can get more into it. Well, how are you feeling about Carolina lately? I know there's one big thing you talked about with, being 18-0 at home, with certain talks of bringing a stadium off campus.
Listen, got to keep the Dean Dome at home. Keep the dome at home. That's what I'm saying. Start the hashtag. I don't know. That just came off my head, and I was like, "Yo, that's kind of fire." But UNC unbeaten at home, got a good win against Clemson, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm really liking this the way this UNC team has been looking, in response to the NC State loss, got a solid win against Syracuse. Got a win against Louisville, a win against Virginia Tech, a win against Clemson. Caleb Wilson being out, I feel like this team has grown more without him, and hopefully we're getting him in the Duke game. He's looking a lot better. I think Carolina's hitting a stride right now. You got Seth Trimble. He's really been kind of stepping up as a leader as of late. Evans, Vesar. Just everyone's kind of been rising to the occasion as of late, and I'm just really excited for this Duke game this weekend. We'll get into it a little bit later, but with the win against Clemson, I believe UNC secures the 2 byes in the ACC tournament, and I can't say anything that negative right now. They're looking good. To get into the talks about Carolina North and stuff like that. Admittedly, I'm not too if it happens that UNC moves off campus, I'm going to be sad. It's not going to be the personally most devastating thing that's ever happened to my life. But just with this run that we've had this year and just the love that has been coming out of the community, all the fans that have been showing up, and just kind of how it feels like this team has been maturing through the ebbs and flows of this year. You got to keep the Dean Dome on campus, man. I mean, it's historic. We can't like lose this part of history. I love this stadium. I love this like team, and just changing something like that and developing somewhere off campus. Although granted, technically Carolina North is going to be an extension of campus, it's going to be off campus, in my opinion. Like it's not main campus.
Like for
It's already near the business school and stuff. It's already in South Campus right now, so it's a little bit of a walk already. But just keep the dome at home, man. Like this team, this community, everybody wants it. Just renovate and see and just build it. Just renovate on here and in Chapel Hill.
that's what I think is the biggest tragedy that any team does is moving a stadium off campus. Now, if you need the room, like if there's genuine interest in your team,
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, our on-campus gym only holds 1,500. We have a waiting. We've been selling out every game, and we have a waiting list that's 4 years long. Okay, maybe go build a bigger stadium off campus if you don't have room. But like, I don't think State should have moved to the Lenovo Center. Like, yes, it's nice for ranked matchups, but like, no one's going to sell out a 25,000 seat. No one in the world is going to sell out a 25,000 seat stadium when they're not playing their rivals or a ranked team. Like, not even Kansas sells out Kyle Fieldhouse unless they're playing a ranked team or a rival. And that's a big brand.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get it's nice that gets loud during ranked matchups. It's nice for, recruits. Oh, look at this massive, stadium. Now, I do realize that, NC State may get some kickback from the Hurricanes for being able to use that or vice versa if there's like mutually beneficial. I don't know about the money stipulation. I mean, with the amount of money that our basketball program has been given, you never know. Like that could have been just a financially viable decision for them to go there anyway. I mean, I've had great memories going to games there, and like I said, for those of you who don't know, I'm likely applying to grad school for sports administration. If I ever end up in an athletic department somewhere and I have a choice between, moving, if I end up as an athletic director, which I don't know if I ever will, but I'm saying hypothetically speaking, if my grad school does look at this for like, monitoring character, Providence, you can quote me on this. If I become an athletic director anywhere, our basketball stadium will not be off campus unless there's physically not another square inch of room, no matter what school I'm at. We will not be moving our basketball arena off campus. Providence, in the future, if I'm ever your athletic director, guess what? The Dunk's coming back on campus. We're renovating alumni. Tuition's almost $100,000 a year as it is anyway. All right? We have the money. We're renovating alumni. We're renovating Alumni Hall.
Yeah.
We're making it seat 10 grand.
10 grand.
And we're going from there.
Going from there.
Or we will renovate the hockey arena Schneider and make it multi-purpose.
Ooh.
Now, granted, Schneider only sits 5K, but still.
We figuring it out.
We figuring it out. We don't fuck it. We're renovating Schneider and making it 10,000.
Renovate.
But now,
also, I do the ad libs every time he makes a proposition. I'll just be in the background going, yeah.
But no, it's a shame when you have to move something like that off campus because I feel like it makes it harder for students to get to. Like football stadiums, okay, I get. Those are massive and they are really hard to put on a campus.
Yes.
Unless they are like a really small size. Those are prohibitively hard to put on a campus. I recognize that. But yeah, that's what I have to say about that. What should we do next? Should we just do like some general bubble talk, some ins and outs, if you will, who's in, who's out?
Let's take a quick little break, and we can do predictions and bubble talk.
Okay, sounds good. We will see you guys in a moment. All right. Well, we're back after about a 10-minute break, and here we're going to talk about some bubble talk, who's in, who's out, just kind of general, some thoughts. We could run some teams by each other, just however you want to do this, particularly, let's start off. Is there any teams you feel particularly strongly about? Like, we'll start with those.
I feel strongly, like I already said, I feel strongly that Auburn's even on the bubble. Like, what the hell they doing there?
Yeah.
Bro really think he part of the team. But um, California and Virginia Tech, obviously some ACC teams that have some questions about. Projected to be both are projected to be out. Cal was just one of those interesting teams. Like I feel like they just hit a lot of like strides and then they hit a lot of like lulls. Their wins were really good, like a win at Miami. That's pretty good. But then like losing 22 to Clemson, that's not good.
That's not good.
Winning against North Carolina, that's good. Losing to Pitt, that's not good.
That's bad.
That's bad. Like earlier in the season, we were saying like Cal was definitely one of those like slept on teams, and like I feel like as the season's gone on even more, I know less about Cal than I did before,
Yeah.
if that
I
makes
just
sense.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm kind of stumped on them. I don't know what to do with them.
Yeah. And then Virginia Tech, like they're just a good team that I look at them and I can kind of like pinpoint them. They're just the prototypical like mid-tier ACC team. If they put it together in the tournament, string a couple of good wins, I could see them being in. But like the Cal problem is a problem that it should be looked into a little bit further. Just looking at but then also get again looking at like all the bids and like the conferences with multi bids. I'll say this. I told this Gareth to Gareth off air. I think the Big 12 should be the conference with the most teams in. I think fundamentally I think they're a better conference than the Big 10 and the SEC. I know that's a little bit hot take, especially like once you get past the top 25, the teams that aren't in the top 25 kind of like fall off a little bit. I still, believe it or not, I still have love for BYU and a lot of these other teams that are in the Big 12. So my like tournament, like if somebody gave me the keys to the tournament and said, Aiden, make a bracket for us, we would not be having as many SEC teams, in my opinion. That might just be my bias, but like the Big Ten and SEC are kind of weird, in my opinion. Like Texas A&M, I know they're not a bubble team. I consider them a bubble team. Uh, let's see.
Indiana, I'm less and less sold on. 2 weeks ago, I would have said yes. Now I don't know.
Yeah,
Now I don't know.
you don't know.
UCLA. Okay, UCLA for me, they've improved their standing a lot. They have 4 top 25 wins in the last month. You're in. In my book, you're in. In my
Yeah.
book, you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Texas, I don't know, man. You do have 7 quad 1 wins, though. I will give you that. I will give you that. That is impressive. I will take a Texas. I will take a Texas.
Yeah.
TCU, you're another one.
I'm sold
But
on TCU. I think they're like I like TCU. They've done
but
enough
what
in my book.
They have to, but you're right. Some of these Big Ten teams, and honestly, I feel like with the Big Ten and SEC, there's a lot of circular logic going on right now. A lot of these quad one wins are within the conference. The ACC quad one wins that each team has, are a little bit balanced out. There's some in conference, some out of conference. There is. I don't know what I would call it. I'm blanking on the term. It's not precedent, but I'm blanking on the term. There's like a Latin phrase for it. It means like there's grounds for it. Like, I'll liken this to something I know. Obviously, in science, there's research. There's years and years of research that back up theories and what we know.
Mm-hmm.
The SEC is a lot of the ACC isn't just proven within the ACC. The ACC is like one of those theories where it's like not like in science, there's certain things that only happen under certain conditions. Water always boils at 100 degrees Celsius or 212 Fahrenheit at sea level.
Yeah.
But there's a point at which water can be both frozen, boiling. What is it? Water can be both condensing into ice, boiling, and melting at the same point. But it's like only in this specific world, like only in this specific temperature, only in this specific pressure. That's the SEC for me.
Yeah.
Like that only works in that scenario. Whereas the ACC, there's peer review. Oh, here we go. The research is peer reviewed. ACC is like peer reviewed research. It's been tested against other conferences. It's been tested.
Yes.
The SEC, ACC, SEC challenge. But I think a lot of those matchups in the ACC, SEC challenge, I really didn't like. It was, hey, you finished bottom of the ACC last year. Do you want to play number 2 in the SEC?
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying. I'm looking at these Big Ten basketball standings right now, and I'm just
I'll go through the list. Top 25, Michigan through Purdue, all good. So that's Michigan, Michigan State, Nebraska, Illinois, Purdue, good. Wisconsin, I'm also good on. UCLA, also good. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams in the Big Ten that I'm good. I'm sold on. Everything else is a little bit more indecisive. Ohio State, I'm not sold on. Iowa, also kind of, yeah, I'll put them in.
Yeah, they've got single-digit losses.
Yeah, so I put Iowa over Ohio State, and then Indiana. Indiana down. I'm just not feeling anything. I literally just in the rankings, I have Iowa jumping Ohio State, just because I'm just a little iffy on them. So in my Big Ten, who's confirmed, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams in the Big Ten.
Yeah,
that's as many in the ACC and Big 12 that most people project and that most people have them projected making the tournament. And with the SEC, it gets a little bit even weirder. So Florida, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 SEC teams. Texas A&M, I'm iffy on. Kentucky, I'm kind of iffy on. Georgia, I'm kind of iffy on. Texas, Auburn, there's a lot of teams that I'm just iffy on in the SEC.
I'd take Texas over Texas A&M right now. Texas A&M's wins are Texas's wins are at least quality wins. Texas A&M, I don't know if we can say the same.
Yeah.
I'd take Georgia over Texas A&M right now. And I know that's crazy.
Yeah.
But Georgia at least has single-digit losses. Auburn, no. Oklahoma, no. Mississippi State, no. Ole Miss, no. Yeah. This is an interesting one. I don't know. And then Alabama. I know Alabama's 22-8. I'm not sold on their long-term success.
Yeah, me too.
That kind of BYU style Chuck and Huck. It's fun to watch. When my team doesn't do it, I'd never want NC State to run that. I'd never want them to run that. but it's fun to watch other teams run it. It's like Jameis Winston. He's fun to watch. You may not want him on your team, but he's fun to watch. What else? I'll look at Big East right now. Big East, why not? I'll look at the other power conference. Big East basketball standings. This is a little bit of a controversial take. I'm taking Seton Hall. I'm taking 4. I'll take Seton Hall over Texas A&M. I'll take Seton Hall over Ohio State and Indiana any day.
That's not ridiculous. That's not ridiculous to say that.
Seton Hall's beaten UConn this year. Seton Hall, I think, has beaten Seton Hall outside of UConn and St. John's. Seton Hall, I think, has beaten every single Big East team this year. And I know that sounds weird, but Seton Hall essentially split with every single Big East team. They've at least beaten each of those teams once. Same thing, yeah. Obviously, St. John's and UConn have beaten almost everyone twice. Except for Providence. St. John's apparently struggles with us. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, I'm taking 4 out of the Big East. Sorry, DePaul. 16 and 14 is just not going to cut it. NIT, you could be a good seed in the NIT. I'll give you that. You could be a good NIT team. But, yeah, I don't know. Bubble-wise, I'm just looking at it. I don't know. I mean, there's really not much to say about these bubble teams except for Aiden and I are just like, no. I
mean, you really just need to see how the
conference tournaments
play out. Like for the ACC, here's my hot take. I think Florida State's going to be a team to look out for.
I think they need to win the ACC tournament, but they could be a team to look out for.
Yeah, I don't know. They've been getting hot kind of lately, and I like this Florida State team. Sorry, this Florida State team, like they're not the same Florida State team we were kind of like dogging on a little bit earlier this year. In my opinion, they've really kind of cleaned ship a little bit.
I think it's just they need to sort some things out, and they have. They have a first-year head coach. Things are coming together, similar to Miami last year. Watch out for them next year. Next year, this is going to be a dangerous team. They're going to be a dangerous team next year. If they don't go on a run this year, they're going to be a dangerous team next year. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
But no. You have anything else you want to talk about basketball-wise before
Let's go into predictions?
Yeah, let's go into predictions now. Obviously, I'm taking NC State over Stanford. I think they're going to right the ship, get some momentum going into it. I think this Duke loss was kind of not a wake-up call, but what I'm saying, hey, schematically and talent-wise, that was a game where I really think we really could have hung. And I think the guys got a little discouraged when they saw the shots weren't going down because I saw just the attitude in the second half wasn't there. The attitude towards the end of the first half wasn't there. The second the shot stopped falling, kind of the body language is not great. But if they get some momentum going, get people healthy again, get Sonya healthy, I think we'll be fine going into the tournament. I don't think we'll win the ACC tournament, but I feel like we could win a few games here and there if the shooting starts popping off again. I like the 7 seed right now, where we are, 6-7 seed right now. It's very advantageous. You wouldn't run into Duke until, the finals, so ideal.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Duke, this week we have another classic brewing up, this time in Durham. We got Cameron Indoor Stadium hosting UNC versus Duke. It's going to be another classic matchup. We have the Duke students, future investment bankers cosplaying the homeless people they're going to be walking all over on Wall Street. It's going to be it's setting up for another classic matchup between these two storied programs. First iteration of this matchup this year, we had UNC going down to the wire, going on an 8-0 run in the final 2 minutes of the game to secure the game for the Tar Heels. Duke's coming back this week, and they're going to be angry. Their only two losses, one of their two losses this year, coming from UNC. And the question has remained, how does Duke perform in the final seconds of games? That's going to be the theme of this game. But as of late, Duke has righted the ship after that UNC loss and gone in stride, going on wins against Pitt, Clemson, Syracuse, a very close nail biter against Michigan, kind of right in those demons that a lot of people were saying Duke couldn't get past. Duke proved that they are probably gearing up for another big tournament run. An historic beatdown of Notre Dame. That was ugly. that was bad. Notre Dame has not been beat that bad since they literally played like the Army Reserve of Chicago. Fact check. That's an actual fact. Look it up. But winning against Virginia, NC State, Duke's gonna finish out this regular season at home against their bitter rivals, and this game is interesting in a multitude of ways. Matchup predictor has Duke winning 92.5%. Holy crap! But Caleb Wilson might be returning for this game. I've been liking this UNC team as of late without him right now. So with or without him, I think UNC's in a good position right now, and I think UNC has the makings to pull it off again. Double victories in this rivalry are hard to come by, but they're not impossible. Duke did it to us last year, so who knows? But whatever goes down, it's gearing up to be just an absolute classic. Give me UNC in this one. I'm feeling the Tar Heel pride. It's gonna be Bob's Afghanistan 2.0. I'm calling it, and I'm excited for another uh, um rendition of this historic rivalry.
Yeah, it'll certainly be an interesting one to watch. Aiden's definitely going to make bank at Bob's.
If I make it.
Um, if you make it, if Aiden isn't gunned down in the streets of Chapel Hill during Bob's Afghanistan.
It's gonna be crazy. Win or lose, I don't know.
It's gonna be a movie, win or lose.
Cops are going to be called.
Like those clickbait YouTube videos, cops called.
Cops called.
But yeah, I'm gonna take Duke in this one. I just think Cameron Indoor. I mean, Carolina has had some very good showings in Cameron Indoor as of late in recent years. They've kept it close even in years where they haven't been the best.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll take Duke in this one. I think Duke's answered a lot of questions as of late, particularly after. I think that Carolina game was a wake-up call.
Mm-hmm.
Not because Carolina isn't good, but I definitely think that was the game they thought they were just going to kind of roll in after you kind of just saw how like the team's kind of, not attitude, but, kind of how the team approached the rest of that game after they kind of built that lead against Carolina. So I think, but yeah, I'll take Duke in that one.
Yeah, I think it's not that Duke came in with a like, oh, things are going to go normally, like I guess as they go. Like that was not the mentality they had going into that game. It was just more of could they sustain their energy throughout the entirety of the game.
Yeah.
And obviously in the UNC game, they did not. But I don't think that's going to be the case for this Duke team. I just think the stars are aligning for UNC right now. UNC's getting hot.
Yeah. Elsewhere in the ACC this week, let me check. Big one I'm tuning into, which has big implications on the ACC standings, we have Louisville versus Miami. This is a big one for standings. Obviously, Miami, I mean, UNC has the tiebreaker over Clemson, so they can't fall out. Yeah. But actually, I think the top 4 is set.
Yeah, the top 4 is set.
Oh wait, I think the buys are set. It's just where people finish individually within that ranking. So yeah. I guess states at least secured a single buy. Then that's good. Because there's no way they're not falling to the 10 line, because the 10 line is currently 7 and 10. So Louisville, I don't know. Louisville is another one of those chuck and hope teams. You know, they either blow teams out or they're in like just an absolute fist fight. I think this, similar to the NC State game, this is the matchup where you have one of the best 3-point shooting teams versus one of the best 2-point shooting teams in the nation. And I think it's really just going to come down to, can Louisville match their physicality, and can Miami guard the 3-point line well enough to be able to trade 2s for 3s? You know, get some stops where they can rack up on the 2s before the 3s start falling for Louisville. That's going to be my big question here, is can Miami dictate the pace of the game? You know, do not let Louisville get out and run. If this game turns into a track meet, I'm sorry. Louisville's taking it 100% of the time. But if Miami can slow it down and force Louisville to play their game, play slow, and force them to take good shots, or force them to find good shots in late shot clock areas, I think Miami can pull this one out. So I'm taking Miami in this one.
I have to agree. I really like this Miami team a lot. They've really turned it around this year. Just an absolute force in this ACC conference. Louisville, I just feel like has been a little bit more up and down, but I like this Miami team a lot. Very proficient on the field goal percentage, statistically, shooting about 50%. And I think against this Louisville team, they're also going to be able to really kind of dish the ball out a little bit better, and get some more dominance in the paint, especially with rebounds. Although this Louisville team is pretty physical and has like some good moments in the paint, I just like this Miami team a little bit more.
Elsewhere in the ACC this weekend, obviously NC State, Stanford. I've already said I like NC State in that one. I think Stanford's squarely off the bubble right now. 7-9 in conference. You know, they had some good early season wins where I was like, damn, you know, they're gonna have a lot better year. But yeah, they're definitely off the bubble. Particularly, I think with a loss against NC State, I don't see them being able to keep up offensively. They turn the ball over. They average 11 turnovers a game. They're not great at spreading the love out. They score off a lot of ISO ball. They really only average 12 assists a game, which is 343rd nationally. That's not good. They're not particularly great from the charity stripe. And they don't shoot particularly well from the field. But they do get to the free throw line a lot. They're just not stellar from it. But they're also not great on the offensive or the defensive glass. NC State, if NC State just takes care of the fundamentals this weekend, I think they'll be okay. So I'm taking NC State in that one over Stanford. I just think Stanford, you started out hot. You had a very impressive start to the season. You have righted the ship from last year. You and Cal. You and Cal have turned out to be solid additions in basketball. You are welcome to stay in ACC basketball, at least in my mind, for a while. Like you've paid your rent for this year. You've paid your rent for this year.
Probably for the next 5 years.
For the next 5 years. You were on the bubble. You know what? You made some screwy things happen. You know, you made some teams question some things at some moments with some of your wins. Especially after beating some teams, you made some teams question who they are.
Yes, indeed.
You made them think.
Made me think.
But no, this weekend
for these two teams to make people think.
This weekend elsewhere in the ACC, a big one for the bubble. SMU FSU. If SMU
Ooh.
loses this, I think they're off the bubble. Like
Yeah.
they're out.
Yeah. Hmm.
I'm gonna take you know what? I'm taking FSU. I like it. They're hot right now. I think they're gonna go on a little bit of a run in the ACC tournament. So give me FSU.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good pick. That's a good pick, Gareth. But I don't know. Is this SMU team? You know, you're hot and then you're cold. You're yes, then you're no. You're in, then you're out. You're up, then you're down. But uh, I really like Boopy Miller. Shout out Boopy. Uh, I think just the SMU offense is a little bit uh, just more dominant and can outshoot FSU. I like this FSU team a lot, but I think this SMU offense is going to be a tough matchup for this SMU offense is going to be a tough matchup for this FSU defense. So I'm going to have to go with SMU on this one.
And then finally, to wrap out the ACC kind of important games this weekend, we have Virginia Tech, Virginia. Virginia Tech's on the bubble. I think if they want in, they're either going to need to make some noise happen in the ACC tournament or do the unthinkable on Saturday and beat Virginia.
Yeah.
I'm taking Virginia in this one. I think Virginia Tech, you're just going to have to get your work done during the conference tournament.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
get ready for that tournament, buddy. This is going to be rough. I don't know. This Virginia team, like,
they look godly in one game, and then they look incompetent in the next.
They look very beatable the next game. That was exactly what I was going to say. Like, for a 4-loss team, this is a very UVA can get a little screwy every now and then. But
yeah,
they've been on a kind of a good run as of late, minus Duke, but it's Duke. So we'll let that slide. Screwy things can happen in the Arrowverse, but I got UVA winning this one.
Speaking of the Arrowverse.
The Arrowverse.
On True TV this weekend, we've got a grudge match. Providence, Georgetown.
Oh.
Providence had the last game won and then blew a 20-point lead in the last 8 minutes. Providence, however, they didn't have a great game tonight against Marquette, but we know Kim English really struggles against that 5-out offense. But outside of that game, Providence is on a tear right now. They beat Creighton last week in the midweek. I'm taking them with a win over Georgetown on Saturday. Give me Providence there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Georgetown is on a slide. They started out, 12-5, and are now they're 3-7 in their last 10 games. Providence, 6-4 in their last 10 games, on a little bit of a tear now. Give me Providence. And because they've looked shaky, and I will say, UConn's good. UConn is good. They've wrapped up the 2 seed in the Big East with Marquette's win over Providence tonight. That somehow secured the 1 seed for St. John's. UConn's looked a little shaky lately, in my mind. They really haven't been playing like the number 4 team in the nation.
They have not.
Struggled a little bit with Butler. Yes, they beat up on St. John's pretty good. Pretty good last week. They almost lost Seton Hall at home. They got blown out by Creighton at home. They almost lost to Georgetown at home in overtime. It's in the cards. This Marquette team's getting hot, relatively speaking.
Yes.
As hot as you can be for 11-9 team. Give me Marquette to beat UConn at home. Well, I mean, home as in Wisconsin. Give me Marquette.
Nice. Going over to You want to go over to some top 25 matchups?
Yeah, let's go to top 25 for this Friday and this weekend. Top 25 matchup coming at you Friday. We've got St. John's and Seton Hall at 9 p.m. Give me St. John's. They're going to bounce back after shooting a 7% from the field. And yes, that's an actual statistic. Fact check me, I dare you. I was talking to people. Give me St. John's. Saturday. We've got some good ones in the SEC on Saturday.
Tennessee versus Vanderbilt. I sure wish I cared.
Probably two of the most overrated SEC teams. Why can't they both lose? Give me Vanderbilt.
Adam. Give me Vanderbilt.
Yeah, give me Vanderbilt. Let's see what else.
Florida, Kentucky. Man, do we have to talk about the SEC, Gareth? Yes, we do. But Florida's going to Kentucky. This Kentucky team, low-key kind of sucks. Not gonna lie.
They're a team.
Man, they do fulfill the requirements to be called a team. Like, they do that.
They're somehow. Florida. Yeah, give me Florida. The home field advantage for Kentucky really hasn't been there this year. So give me Florida.
Moving over to an actual basketball conference, we have Purdue versus Wisconsin in the Big Ten. This is actually a very pretty big matchup. Wisconsin, I've liked them a lot, but this Purdue team's really good, and I'm expecting some big performances, especially out of Braden Smith and
Mr. School Shooter himself.
Yeah, this Purdue offense I like a lot. And a little bit more consistent in the field goal percentage than Wisconsin. So give me Purdue in this one, but hey, this one should be a good matchup. I like it a lot.
I do too. Purdue's at home. I like their home field advantage, so give me Purdue. Purdue's kind of answered a lot of my questions as of late.
There's the Iron Bowl of basketball, Alabama versus Auburn.
Gee, I wish I cared.
Me too. Give me Alabama, I guess.
Give me Alabama.
Texas Tech versus BYU. BYU, how the mighty have fallen. Well, I don't know if you were that mighty, but you definitely fell. Oil Money versus Mormons.
They've dropped 7 of their last 10.
Oil Money versus Crumble Cookies. BYU's going to crumble under this oil, so give me Texas Tech, baby.
Arizona, give me BYU Colorado. At home.
Ooh,
give me BYU at home.
Yeah, they got like
they did beat Iowa State at home by 10.
They did. They did do that.
Yeah, that UCF game was rough. That West Virginia game was probably even rougher. Yeah. And so was losing by 22 at Cincinnati. But, I think this team, just to complicate things, is going to figure it out this game. They're going to beat Texas Tech. Texas Tech out without one of their best players. Why am I blanking on his name? He's one of the best players in the country. He's out for the season. Give me BYU.
Yes. Going over to Sunday, we have some Big Ten matchups. One that I'm looking really forward to is Michigan State versus Michigan. Give me Michigan in this one. They've won the first iteration of this one. It's in Ann Arbor, and I like this Michigan team a lot. Michigan State is really good, but this Michigan team's a whole different level. Give me Michigan.
Give me Michigan as well. I just think they're too dominant.
Same with Nebraska versus Iowa. I like both of these teams. Iowa's been staging a little bit of a surgence in these past couple Big Ten conference games. If there's a team that can make Nebraska slip up, it's definitely this Iowa team. Nebraska started off really dominant, still riding pretty high, just not at the level of Michigan right now. But give me Nebraska.
Give me Nebraska. Yeah, this team doesn't really lose at home, so give me Nebraska.
So that kind of does it for the predictions right now. But next podcast, we're going to be looking into the conference tournaments. I mean, some have already started, but I'm going to be real. I'm not going to lie to you guys and say that I know ball when it comes to like the ASUN first round of the ASUN tournament. So I'm not going to lie to you guys.
But you
But
know what conference tournament starts this week and does matter?
Sun Belt.
No, yes, the Sun Belt, but the West Coast Conference. Their
Oh
conference
yes.
tournament has started,
Ooh.
is starting. They have a very similar structure to the Sun Belt. The first rounds, I believe, have already started. Conference tournament. Let's see. 2026 Coastal Credit Union West Coast Conference Tournament. Show me the bracket. Show me the money. Bracket. Here we go. All right. Sorry, that's the women's bracket. So, starting tonight, we've got Pepperdine versus Portland and LMU versus San Diego tonight on ESPN Plus. Then on March 6th, we have the winner of Pepperdine Portland versus Washington State and the winner of LMU San Diego versus Seattle U. And then similar to the Sun Belt, each team gets successive byes. So the next round, the winner of the Pepperdine Portland side will face San Francisco, and for the other side of the bracket, it is Pacific. Then we get to the teams that matter: Oregon State, Santa Clara, and already in the semifinals is Gonzaga, St. Mary's. Give me St. Mary, or not give me St. Mary's. Give me Santa Clara. They're back. They've rebounded since the Gonzaga game. They blew out Oregon State at home. Watch that game with Sarah's family. Very good. Santa Clara is giving St. Mary's fits this year. I'm taking Santa Clara at least to the West Coast Conference Championship game. Where? Give me Santa Clara beating Gonzaga in the West Coast Conference Championship. Give me that fucking auto bid.
Nice.
Nice. Anything else you want to add for college basketball?
No, I'm ready to go over to UFC.
Okay. I do have one thing I'd like. I don't know if I want to say it today, at least for Providence. But I want to address kind of the fan attitude that's been going on with NC State lately. The attitude that we talked about off air prior to hopping on. So I want to talk about the recent reactions to games that fans have had about Will Wade.
Mm-hmm.
First off, I understand the disappointment. Expectations were high. Will Wade's a high-energy guy, has a lot of success behind him. He's won at all levels of college basketball he's been at. And, yeah, the season hasn't matched the fans' expectations. But I think we have to be more realistic. I said going into this season, I'll consider this season a success if we qualify, if we just make it to March Madness. I'd love us to win games in March Madness, but I think we can still chalk to after last season. You have to pretty much take anything making the tournament or above. College basketball is chaos right now. All right, we've got the transfer portal, changed the rules overnight. Players being ruled eligible and ineligible on a whim. Court cases, suing for eligibility and stuff like that. But this NIL kind of immediacy has kind of fed into more of this kind of hysteria culture. This first season was never going to be the ideal season for Will Wade. Like, you are coming into a program, you're not going to be able to have your guys set up your system, set up your recruitings, pipelines, everything, build the roster the way you want to. That was never going to be, that was never going to happen. That's not saying we couldn't have expectations for the season, but we had to have there. And I get there had to be expectations, but I think they needed to be a little bit more fine-tuned. And I want to start off by saying, point numero uno, this season's not a failure whatsoever. We're still, like I said, we're still in position to make March Madness. And this is with a first-year staff, with everyone brand new, completely new roster in this new NIL era. So this isn't a disaster. people were bringing up how Will Wade talks a big game. But honestly, and I'll use a quote I said, it's definitely not a politically correct quote, but, in this NIL era, you kind of have to beat your chest like a drunken fifth-year frat president trying to impress sorority girls. You kind of have to be like that. You have to sell yourself. In this NIL and portal world, everything is branding. You have to sell the program, you have to sell vision, and you have to sell yourself. Being confident is now part of the job. You cannot sell mediocrity. You can't sell, we lost a lot of people in the first year, so I don't know what to expect. You have to sell yourself.
Yeah.
Let's not forget, fans wanted a Jimmy V style coach. I think people forget this guy was not a sane individual. Jimmy V was not sane. Aiden was telling me prior to the podcast, do these fans think Jimmy V was just a monotone person? No. Jimmy V talked a big game.
He was Italian, for God's sakes. He was Italian. Never forget
He was Italian. He talked a big game. He was over the top. He sold excitement. He was personality. Mm-hmm. That's what people were asking for. That's Will Wade. He's confident. He's loud. He's going to talk when he wants to talk. He's going to have a vision. What I'm sick of is this woe is me attitude. Is this, if we don't have a perfect season, fans are already upset that he's not winning national championships. We have had, since Jimmy V, we have had a young coach who was confident, who had a vision, was very vocal about his vision. He built something. Yeah, his first 5 seasons weren't great, but he built something. He went to the Sweet 16 multiple times, multiple ACC championship game appearances. His final 2 seasons at NC State, he made the Sweet 16 before we ran him off. This is the exact attitude that ran off Herb Sendek. If you want to build long-term success, you cannot panic at every single small, minor hiccup. You don't want to be Kentucky. You want to be Kentucky, who you start the season ranked number 1 every year, and then you lose in the first round. You don't want that. Yes, it's fair for the fans to be disappointed right now. Okay, yes, this is, Will Wade talked a big game, but like I said, you have to. The season's not over. NC State won a lot of games this season, won a lot of games this season that under previous coaches we would have lost. We won games that we would have lost in previous seasons. So yes, I'm a little disappointed with certain games. The Miami game, the Notre Dame game. Yes, I wanted a better showing against Duke. Yes, I would have liked a better showing in the Maui against Seton Hall. But you cannot just go out there and start wailing and say this season's over. We have the ACC tournament. When this team gets hot, those 6, 7, 8 game tears we've been on, this team could feasibly win the ACC if they get hot again. If they played like they did against SMU, I really don't see a team other than maybe Duke beating us if we play like we did against SMU. Virginia, maybe. It depends. But like Aiden said, Virginia's screwy. Virginia looks like a world beater one game, and then the next game you're like, these guys just beat NC State by 20. These guys just beat Clemson by 30. What do you mean? They just almost lost to Georgia Tech at home on senior day.
Yeah.
But no, you can be disappointed about this season, but by no means is it a wash. And this is the type of attitude. This type of attitude is how we lose Will Wade. Everyone's worried about him going to LSU. This is exactly the attitude that's going to make him go, hey, when things started going wrong, the fans started acting like everything was over. Maybe I should go back to LSU where I'm more appreciated. That is how you lose him.
Mm-hmm.
That is how you lose a coach like that. You wanted Jimmy V Jr. You sure as hell got him.
For better or for worse. You sure as
hell got him. For better or for worse, you sure as hell you got exactly the coach you wanted. On multiple levels. Will Wade was obviously the number 1 target. Not talking about that. The qualities that NC State fans were talking about in a coach they wanted right after we fired Kevin Keatts, you got all of them in Will Wade. I rest my case on that. Let's go to UFC.
UFC 326, Max Holloway versus Charles Oliveira 2 for a battle for the BMF title. We have a pretty good card looking into this. I just want to bring up a couple matchups that I think are worth mentioning. We have a bantamweight fight between Rob Font versus Raul Rojas Jr. I really like Rojas. He's one of the young originally was like the youngest guy to ever fight in the UFC. Started fighting at like 18. He was just an absolute prodigy, and he's been on the up a lot. I like his style. He's really kind of uh, bounced back from some like his big loss, like a couple years ago to Christian Rodriguez. But after that, he's gone on a 4-fight win streak. I think he's going to continue this streak. Both of these guys can just absolutely stand and bang, but I got Rojas Jr. in this one. Then we have Brahalo versus Renier de Ryder. I like Renier de Ryder a lot. These fighters both fight in southpaw, but Ryder has the advantage when it comes to significant strike percentage, and has a really good uh, percentage. I think this is just going to be a really complete fight overall, but give me Renier de Ryder to win this one. And then going on to the lightweight BMF title, we have Max Holloway versus Charles Oliveira. Both of these fighters very deserving of the BMF of Holloway. Just he's one of those strikers that he can just stand and bang with the best of them. Whenever you see him, you know it's going to be an absolute boxing just showcase. And then Charles Oliveira, some of the best grappling in the UFC, very proficient in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But Oliveira, I feel like he's kind of slowed down a little bit. I mean, a couple uh, about a year ago or two back, his win against Michael Chandler, it wasn't that convincing. Then lost to Ilya Tapora, but recently got a pretty convincing win over Gamrot. But I like Max Holloway a lot. I just think he's on an absolute roll right now when it comes to just the energy that he's bringing to his fights. I feel like he's hit another surgeons, and I like him in the lightweight division a lot. I think Charles Oliveira's slowing down a little bit, and Max Holloway's just hitting his stride right now in the lightweight. So give me Max Holloway to win this one.
All right. Believe it or not, I've actually been doing research for about a month on this one just so I could accurately talk about it. So,
Mhm.
Aiden, if I've mixed anything up, because sometimes with UFC fighters, I mix some of them up, particularly the Dagestanis.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
let me know if anything I say is inaccurate or read it. So, all right, I did some research. I've compiled, kind of like a little notes app for myself
Yeah.
right here. I'll
Yeah.
just like kind of general information. So obviously we have Charles Oliveira. Aiden said he's got really good grappling. If I'm not mistaken, he has the record for the most wins by submission right now in the UFC at 22 or 23 right now. But I think his striking's underrated. It's not to the level of Max Holloway,
Yeah.
but Charles Oliveira, he's more of a BJJ style fighter. He does have a little bit of kind of a Muay Thai influence when it comes to his striking. Lots of elbows, lots of forearms, that type of stuff. Max Holloway, more of like I said, striker. He's very boxing kind of oriented. That's kind of like his base martial art. Now, I will say the biggest strength here for Max Holloway is he's going to need to keep the fight off the ground. In my mind, he's going to need to keep the fight off the ground. He's going to need to kind of keep it in kind of standing, striking battles. He thrives in kind of these long fights, at least that's what I've gathered from kind of his, he's got good cardio. Not saying Oliveira doesn't, but that's just one thing I've noticed in the fights I've watched. Max Holloway is like kind of elite cardio.
That is a really good take because one of the critiques for Oliveira for the longest time is that he had no chin and that he does gas out in these longer fights. So that's a pretty. I'm not saying that's entirely accurate because there's like I never want to diss somebody's fighter's gas tank too much, but that is a very astute observation, Gareth.
Now, I will say Max Holloway isn't as proficient in grappling kind of these ground scenarios. I will say as of recent fights and just like articles I've read and stuff like that, his ability to resist takedowns and going to the ground is getting better. He appears to be getting a little bit into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, at least in an effort to kind of, steer fights away from the ground, be able to get out of stuff.
Yes.
I just think the key here is he's going to have to be methodical. I'm not completely sold on who I think is going to win right now, but I think if Holloway wants to win, he's going to have to be methodical, but also within being methodical, he's going to have to be, how do I say this? He's going to have to be deliberate, but not predictable. Because if he gets into a predictable rhythm with this, and I know he loves his rhythm and kind of, combination strikes. If he gets too much into a rhythm or gets a little too predictable, that's where I see Charles Oliveira kind of getting the upper hand, being able to kind of pick his moments, find a spot to take it to the ground. I do think you said Charles Oliveira, you said he is kind of slowing down.
A little bit. I mean, he is coming off a win, but it's just from what I've been seeing, I think his best years are kind of behind him right now. And I originally did think that for Max Holloway, but he's just kind of hit a little bit of new resurgence. So Oliveira, it's very well and possible that Oliveira could also like hit a new stride right now. So it's kind of up in the air. Both of these fighters in their mid 30s. Holloway 34, Oliveira 36. So Oliveira is kind of getting on like the older end, especially in like the lightweight division.
And from what I've gathered is Oliveira is more of like kind of he's aggressive. He's constantly looking for takedowns, but he's going to have to be careful there. He's going to have to be careful. He's going to have to keep his distance. He does have a little bit more reach, if I'm not mistaken, than a Holloway. So he has a little bit of an advantage there, like keeping his kind of like, he's going to be able to keep, kind of a little bit, Max Holloway does have him on leg reach by about an inch, but I don't think that with Max Holloway's fighting style, I don't think that's going to be too much of a factor.
Just has freakishly long arms.
Yeah, Oliveira has the Michael Phelps build, long arms, normal everything else. But I don't know. I do like Oliveira's kind of like ability to have creative submissions. I don't know if this is the right word. He seems to like study up on it from what I've seen. He studies up on his opponents. So like he's able to like, he can turn almost any situation, not into a win, but like he has an idea of how to get into a submission from wherever he is.
He can pull a rabbit out of a hat.
He can pull a rabbit out of a hat.
Yeah.
So I think that's just what, I'll agree with you, Aiden. I'm going to take Max Holloway, but he's going to have to be careful.
Yeah.
He's going to have his head on a swivel. He's going to have to be, like I said, and I know methodical usually implies rhythmic. He's going to have to be deliberate. Sorry, deliberate, like I said.
Yes.
He's going to have to be deliberate, not methodical. He's going to have to pick his points because I don't know that enough about UFC strategy just yet.
Mm-hmm.
If he like sets traps, like how in chess you can kind of set a trap for a certain piece.
Yeah.
I don't know if he can I don't know if he's gonna have like kind of like this is even a thing in MMA. If he sets like a trap, Holloway's just gonna have to be smart and not overextend himself. Yeah. I think particularly with how aggressive Charles Oliveira is, if Max Holloway can just stay disciplined, protect himself. Obviously, he doesn't want to be too kind of passive because this type of thing can go to a decision, but not a whole lot of Charles Oliveira's fights go to a decision. I think only if I believe 12% of his fights have gone to it's incredibly low that 12% of his fights have gone to, let me look. Well, let me access the Carfax before I say something stupid.
It's 10 wins by TKO, been knocked out 5 times, submitted someone 22 times, been submitted 4 times. So that's 9. Yeah. So like only 2 of his 11 losses have been from decision. And hang on, quick math, 4 of his wins have been wins by decision.
So yeah, Charles Oliveira,
10 of his almost 50 fights have been like by decision.
So
Like he,
about 10,
yeah,
about
yeah,
20%. So
yeah,
not a lot of his fights go to decision. So honestly, I think if you're Max Holloway, your best, I think the way he wins this, and I think he will, is kind of outlast him a little bit. Oliveira may win round one, but
yeah,
just based off of strikes, just how aggressive he is. He may even win round two. But I think it's going to be rounds 3, 4, maybe even a knockout. That's going to
yeah.
get it for Holloway.
Oh yeah,
I doubt it'll take
absolutely.
all 5 rounds. I don't know if it'll be like he'll be like not out cold. You know what I'm saying? But if it's
Yeah.
like a takedown where like sign up, if I'm not mistaken, it was summer 2023 where Sean O'Malley knocked someone down, but the
Hmm.
ref is like, that's a knockout. Like that's like
Yeah, yeah,
that's a knockout. Like he's
yeah,
off his feet. Like he's down. Like I could see a situation like that. So I'm gonna take Holloway in a situation similar to that. Like
yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's gonna be he's gonna win by TKO. So give me Max
That's
Holloway and TKO.
that's a very excellent breakdown, Gareth. Like that was really good. I'm not gonna lie.
Thank
You've
you.
definitely you've definitely did your research on that one. Because once you pulled out the Oliveira kind of like questionable with cardio, I was like, okay, now here's a guy that actually kind of now here's a guy that knows ball right now.
I'm getting into it. I'm getting into
He's
it.
getting into it. But yeah, yeah, that's gonna be our breakdown of UFC 326. We will come back at you next week with the recap for this fight card. Hopefully, I'm gonna be able to get to see a little bit of it, but I will be busy working this week, so might have to watch a little bit of the recording on Paramount Plus. So after it's happened. But yeah, I mean, is there anything else you want to bring up, Gareth?
Only thing I'll do some shout outs at the end of the podcast.
Hmm.
Obviously, I'm going to shout out NC State, NC State and Carolina baseball doing well this season.
Yeah.
NC State's 12-1. Carolina only thinks lost once as well. NC State upset number 13, Coastal Carolina at home 6-4. I'm really excited for this team. Last year, this team was not a very Elliott Avent style team. It was a very small ball team, kind of defense oriented. We maintained all of our key defensive players, and we've added to the offense. We've set like a team record. We've scored this was the fastest NC State's been to 100 runs ever. I think it helps that we brought in the SEC's leading RBI leader. Like that certainly has helped. And we've turned our elite closer, Jacob Duden, into a starter, and he's been absolutely dealing, which I think that was low. I questioned that decision at first, but I think low-key that could work out for us in the long run. One final shout out, and I think we may start bringing this up more. The Charlotte Hornets have a winning record for the first time in months. They are 32-31. They are in a playoff spot right now, and they've beaten all the top teams right now in the NBA. They just beat the Celtics tonight by 30. They have who else have they beaten on this season on the tear they've been on? The thing is, I've started following the Hornets more this year because they've picked up some players I like and respect a lot. Ryan Kalkbrenner, 4-time Big East Defensive Player of the Year, played for Creighton. One of the few non-Providence Big East players that I really liked. They've also got Colin Knippel, ACC fan favorite. I mean, even Carolina fans like Colin Knippel.
Yes.
I mean, who else? They have Tyus Jones, Duke legend from about a decade ago. Obviously, LaMelo. They could do a Dukes of Hazzard remake with
Yes.
LaMelo Ball. With LaMelo Ball, but instead of being set in like rural Georgia, it's set in like rural Western North Carolina, like Mecklenburg, whatever, out and whatever part of Mecklenburg County is like least inhabited.
Yes.
That's what they could do. They could do it there, but I think this Hornets team's getting exciting, and even in their losses, it's been respectable losses that are entertaining.
Yeah, like recently losses to Houston and Cleveland weren't as bad as what we are accustomed to. And like it's looking pretty good right now. It's looking I'm not like I just ordered a new Hornets hat. Gonna be repping the Hornets a little bit more now on the pod. So I'm excited for that. This Friday, they're going to be playing against Miami and have a little, after that, they're going to have a stretch of West Coast, a little bit of a West Coast road trip ahead of them. But I'm getting excited for this, Gareth. This might not be a play-in team anymore. This might be a playoff team.
They definitely they've beaten the Magic, but they beat the Magic by 30. They beat the Nuggets by a lot. They lost to the Warriors. They beat the Lakers by 18. They've had close ones with the Raptors. They beat OKC by a lot. They've lost to the Bucks in a close one. They've lost the Warriors in a close one. They've beaten the Magic several times. I mean, we're not going to talk about the Pistons game. They've beaten the Cavs several times this season. This team, they may not win a championship. They may not win a playoff series against a team like the Celtics, but they'll make it damn interesting. They'll win a few. They'll win a first round game, and they'll make it. They'll make whatever poor Eastern Conference team they have to play against. Whatever top seed in the Eastern Conference, they'll make it interesting against them.
Oh my God. Yo, if there's a playoff series between like Boston and Charlotte,
you better come up here,
bro.
That's all I'm saying. I don't care what I have going on at work. We're taking the night off, and we are going being the biggest fucking assholes in TD Garden. We are being the biggest fucking problems.
Oh, we are. We are.
And I know I've shit on the NBA. I'm coming to like the NBA. Part of my hate of the one final rant. Part of my hatred of the NBA was I thought it was a CIA psyop. Hold on, stay with me now.
I'm saying
Aiden understood it. I haven't watched many NBA games, but with my girlfriend's family being Celtics fans, I watched a lot of the NBA playoffs at Easter with them. My girlfriend was off on like a research trip, but they still invited me down. I watched a lot of the Celtics games with my girlfriend's dad, her cousins, her sister, her sister's boyfriend, her sister's friends. I had not seen a made three-pointer in an NBA game before. I watched thinking back to the first Hornets game I watched in high school. I watched like the entire fourth quarter. They did not make a single three.
That wasn't.
And then from there,
that was the Hornets then. So
then I watched some of the COVID playoffs for like 10 minutes, like in college, and there'd be like 5 and 10 minute swap, like 5, like during work, like for whatever reason, my room was the hangout room for the freshman boys on the swim team, and we'd all come in and do work. And now, granted, I was doing homework at the same time, so I could have missed them. But when I'm talking eyes on TV, eyes on the TV, never saw a three-pointer. I'd hear it, I'd be like, oh, Chris Paul hits a three to cut the lead to 43.
Yeah.
I'd never see it. I'd be like, a team would be knocking down threes. I'd look over.
Bricks for the next 3
Bricks for the next 2 minutes. I finally saw my first live NBA three-pointer with Aiden the other day. Yeah. And so I'm like, maybe this thing isn't a psyop. You know what? We'll make this one of our clips for the week. Garrett discusses why he doesn't hate the NBA anymore. I found out it wasn't a psyop. And I'm starting to respect it. Like, okay, some of my critiques of the NBA, yeah. They really don't have time to run an offensive set. I'm a sucker for old school college basketball where it's you run a play where it's you have you screen the screener. Ideally, in my ideal world, I hate UConn. But in my ideal world, I want NC State or any team I root for to play like UConn, just set. They have the freedom to have this kind of read and react, but they've got set plays within that read and react. You screen the screener 5 times, then your center pops out for a 3 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or your point guard starts with the ball, but then 10 passes later, you've got the small forward shooting from the corner on a designed corner 3. That's what I want. Or you get a design backdoor cut. I'm tired of this. I like the NBA. I will say I like the NBA now. I have respect for it. I might start watching Hornets games more often because I've been watching highlights. I've been following them on the app. I know who's good. I like the players they have on their team. But this Hornets team isn't bad. Let me check the NBA playoff picture. I think they are in a playoff spot right now. They might be in a play.
They're in a play-in spot right now, but looking at their schedule, so Miami's also a play-in team, but I think they're the Hornets right now. So this matchup on Friday might cause some things to start shifting a little bit.
Yeah, we're a game and a half behind Miami.
Yeah. Yeah.
And actually, we're a game and a half behind Miami and the Magic. We're 2.5 behind the 76ers. We're 4 behind the Raptors. We're 7 behind the Cavs. We could move up like 4 spots feasibly
Yeah. Yeah.
if the trend continues.
The trend continues.
We don't have to root for the Magic in the playoffs.
Bro, I want to see a Hurricanes and Hornets collab playoff run this summer. This is my send off from North Carolina.
Low key, their remaining schedule for the Hornets, the tear we've been on was against pretty good teams.
Yeah.
Outside of the Heat and the Spurs, this schedule is really advantageous for making the playoffs.
Oh, yes.
We've got Blazers, the Kings. The Kings, the worst team in the NBA. Not going to shit on them because their point guard, Devin Carter, Providence legend, probably might be NBA Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Might be.
Mm-hmm.
Then they've got the Spurs. That might be a rough one. They've got the Heat at home, big one. Then they've got the Magic and the Grizzlies at home, and the Kings and the Knicks. Fuck the Knicks.
Fuck the Knicks.
I don't like them.
Mm-hmm.
Ask me why. Couldn't tell you. They're just annoying. Then we got the 76ers, another playoff team that we really could knock down a peg. Then we've got the Celtics at home. Really don't like them either.
Go to Brooklyn.
Outside of the Reds and Brooklyn. Very advantageous schedule.
Yeah. I mean, they got a month to prove themselves right now. Like, we're about entering the final stretch of the season. I'm really keeping my eyes on that San Antonio matchup, 3:30 on Prime Video. It's gonna be like the first game I have the means of watching right now. So I'm keeping my eyes out for that one. But a lot of winnable games, Gareth. You know, who knows?
A lot of winnable. Who knows what can happen?
Who knows what can happen? You never really know until you figure it out.
Sorry for the tangent there, folks. That was just we were getting a little excited. You know, we like it. We like it
when Carolina teams do well. Professional Carolina teams do well. We're all in it. Like I was telling Gareth, like, you could call me a bandwagon fan, like, all you want, but like I don't like I was happy that OKC won the championship last year. I wasn't going to go out of my way to like start repping some OKC merch or something like that. Or like if the Lakers are good, I'm not going to like jump ship and go like, "Oh, I'm a Lakers fan now," or something like that. But if a Carolina team's doing well, I am hopping on that train.
Yeah. Now, unfortunately, winning your division doesn't really matter in the NBA. I'm gonna quickly think that because the Hornets could still win the Southeastern Division.
Yeah.
Could you theoretically win your NBA division and miss the playoffs?
I mean, with like the play-ins and stuff, like.
Well, yeah. Even without the play-ins, I'm just
straight miss the playoffs. Yeah.
Yes, theoretically, it is possible in today's NBA. 15 teams, 7 to 10 playoff. Divisions don't really matter much anymore. 3 divisions of 5 teams. Winning your division does not guarantee a playoff spot. Did not know that.
Yeah.
But what it would have to be is it would have to be a really weak conference where it's like 32 and 50.
Yeah.
However, I will based off the math, like the Google AI was saying, based off the math, this is incredibly unlikely, but it could happen.
Yeah.
But they said it likely will not.
Yeah.
So yeah. With that being said, Aiden, our famous last words. This could be a short episode tonight.
2 hours later.
2 hours later, yes. But no, we're excited for the major conference tournaments to start. I figured, start of next week, we'll update you how the WCC went. We'll keep you updated depending on when we record next week of how the ACC tournament's going, But that being said, I think that'll be it for us here tonight. Really appreciate you listening in, and we will see you next week.